What's up, everybody? It's me, Kevin. Today I'm going to tell you how I lost $1.2 million and 5 must-follow rules of real estate. Oh, and quick reminder, make sure to check the coupon code down below. It expires in a few days, and then the price is going up for the next season. See, in case you haven't figured it out already, I'm a real estate broker. Oh, that's wet. I'm a real estate broker and real estate investor. Real estate investing is where I make a lot of money, so when I come up with rules, these are rules that come out of experience. So let's get right into the list. Rule number 1 you should always follow when you're looking at investing in real estate is, unless you're a real estate developer, don't get tempted by very expensive fixer-uppers. See, we know fixer-uppers are desirable because you can get them below market value. In fact, oftentimes you can get deals for $300,000 that might be worth $425,000 or $450,000 just by doing a simple $30,000, $40,000 worth of work. The cool thing too is if you wanted to do that work yourself, you could probably get all of that work done for $15,000. That's where you buy something for $300,000, you put $15,000 in your own work, you're making big money really fast. However, that benefit goes away really fast as well. Once you start getting into fixer-upper projects that start costing you in the neighborhood of $100,000, $200,000 to fix up because it's a big redo, you have to do additions, you have to do foundation work, at that point, you've got to ask yourself a very simple question. How many other opportunities are you missing out on because you're dumping so much cash into a deal? Consider this, if you buy a house for $300,000, you put 20% down, that's $60,000 coming out of your pocket, or maybe you're borrowing it from a credit line or from a friend or whatever, or you're putting less down because you're gonna move into it. But then you gotta put in that $30,000 of fix-up. That now means you're out of pocket $90,000. Unless, of course, you put 5% down and then you did the work yourself, then you're really only out of pocket $30,000. So in that scenario, you're out of pocket $30,000 and $90,000, depending on how much you put down and if you're gonna live there and do the work or not. On the flip side, if you now find a property that needs $100,000 worth of work, you're out of pocket $115,000 to $160,000. That is basically the amount of money that you would need to do another deal. Think about it. You could do 2 basic $30,000 remodels or do some work yourself, or 1 big project. But the problem with big projects is, A, you're stuck with that 1 project. You can only finance that 1 deal because you don't have enough cash anymore. It's tied up doing other stuff. But 2, your return on investment goes in the toilet on more expensive projects, unless you're a developer and you've been doing this for years and you really know what you're doing. If you're just starting out or you've done less than 10 renovations, you probably don't want to do these big projects. And that's where we get to rule number 2, the money pit scale. Now, we've talked about the money pit scale before in other videos, but here is the money pit scale. Let's just give you the bottom line of it because it's a really good reminder. The most expensive things in real estate give you the lowest ROI. Foundations, roofs, electrical systems, sewage systems give you the lowest return on your money. Oftentimes, you're not even getting a full return of your money. That is, you spend $100,000 doing a foundation, maybe you'll get $50,000 in value back. Man, that's one way to move drywall. So remember, rule number 1, stay away from really big projects that ruin your opportunity costs at getting other deals. Rule number 2, always follow the money pit scale. You're going to make the most money doing the most basic stuff. That's like a double benefit. Simple, more money. More complicated, less money. Cool, rule number 2. Rule number 3, you don't want to buy out of boredom. I get a lot of real estate clients that come to me and say, Kevin, you know what, I'm gonna buy a lot. I'm gonna buy a lot that burned down, there was a fire or whatever, and I'm gonna buy this redevelopment opportunity. And this is where you have to realize, all right, you might not be bored anymore if you do it, but you'll be miserable. See, here's a new scale. I call it the misery scale. The first week of your renovation, when you're running around with a sledgehammer, breaking stuff, or pulling up the carpets, fun, really good. Week 2, 3, and 4 are starting to get a little boring again. It's like, all right, yeah, the fun of it's over. Like, I just want this done now. And ideally, by week 5 and 6, you're done with the project. Because if you're not done with the project, then you get to the misery part of the deal. So part 1, yay! Everything in between up to week 5 and 6, meh. Week 5 and 6 beyond, oh, this sucks. So you want to keep that in mind because you don't want to be in, oh, this sucks for really any amount of time. And unfortunately, if you get into doing crazy things like lots or additions or really expensive work, unless you want to pay massive premiums to architects and contractors to do the work for you, and keep in mind, you still have to live with them and make sure they're doing their job properly, follow rule number 3, don't buy out of boredom. Go find some entertainment instead. Sometimes it just comes to you. Rule number 4, let's do an analogy for this. Looking at this parking lot, ask yourself, how much is that red pickup truck worth compared to that gray pickup truck, compared to that blue one, compared to that white one over there, compared to the one with the larger wheels? There's actually a surprising amount of pickup trucks over there, but you have to start asking yourself, okay, well, they're different ages, they're different mileages, they're different makes, they've got different features in them. And basically, you have to do a lot of research on every one of those cars and then compare that to what other similar cars to that particular car is selling for, and then take that knowledge and apply it to the car that you actually want to buy to see if you're getting a good deal. That's gonna take a little bit of effort. Now, fortunately with cars, we've got Kelley Blue Book, and that makes things really easy. But now let me make another analogy over here. Let's say you wanted to buy this chair right here. There's no difference between this chair and this chair and this chair and that one, that one, that one, and that one. These benches over here are different, but the benches can be compared to other benches. They're literally the same thing. If I now go over here and find this chair on Craigslist for $20, then I know, okay, cool. The market value on Craigslist is $20 for a used chair. If I go over here and go, okay, it's new, it's selling for 50 bucks, cool, market value is 50 bucks. I know if I'm paying more than $50 for a new chair, I'm getting ripped off. If I'm paying more than $20 for a used chair, I'm getting ripped off. It starts getting a little bit more complicated with the cars, right? I'll take Kelley Blue Book out of this. Now, let's relate this to real estate. Those cars over there are your unique custom home where you have to compare it on every spec. Square footage, age, location, the different amenities, the different upgrades. It's a lot more complicated. The more complicated things get in real estate, guess what? The more your risk goes up because your uncertainty goes down. The more uncertain you are, the more risk you have. With these chairs, if somebody wants to sell me a $50 chair for $50, I'm pretty certain I'm paying market value for the new chair. So what's the secret for real estate? Anytime you can, buy tract homes where the comps you use or the other comparable sales you use are not different makes and models and different ages. Instead, they're literally the same model. 3 and 2, 2,000 square feet. Cool. Where's another 3 and 2? Oh, here's another 3 and 2, 2,000 square feet. This one's on the market for $620,000. This one sold for $800,000. Here's another one, 3 and 2, 2,000 square feet. Same age, same tract, same builder, sold for $825,000. Whoa. This 625 one's starting to look like a deal. I'm gonna go shopping for the 625 one because it's probably got value in it or needs work. Obviously, that's when you start applying the other rules. Now, I know a lot of people get frustrated because, look, as a real estate agent, I hear it all the time. People, well, I want something unique. I don't just want another tract home. Keep in mind, there are a ton of really quality older tract homes. Just because it's a 1940s property and it's a cute little Spanish-style home doesn't mean you don't have the same exact floor plan on the other street 3 times that sold last year. I would venture to say the vast majority of properties that sell are tract homes. So if you're thinking about investing in real estate, always remember, tract homes are going to give you more certainty. They're easier to comp out. They're easier to find out what are these things going to rent for, what are they going to sell for, how fast do they rent and sell, how good's the neighborhood. It's very easy. It's simple. And the simpler it is, the more certainty you have. So if you're worried about risk, keep it simple. Tracts. This is unfortunately why multifamily gets a little bit more difficult. Even though in an area, you could look at a gross rent multiplier or a cap rate. By the way, I teach you all the tricks for this in the real estate investing course. Make sure to check out that link down below if you have not yet already. It's a lot harder to adjust cap rates and gross rents for different neighborhoods mostly because the volume of sales is significantly lower, so there's usually more of a risk margin with multifamily. Last tip about real estate: buy close to where you live. It's a big mistake, in my opinion, to have to fly somewhere like Nashville, Tennessee, just because you think, hey, the market's booming, let's go buy over there. That's kind of like, oh, let's go buy some Tesla stock because it's at all-time highs. Keep in mind, if you're not familiar with the area, it's not only a lot harder to reduce your uncertainty, that is, you're more likely to take more risk in areas you're not familiar with. You don't know which streets are the good streets and the bad streets. But local investors also tend to get preferential treatment. That is, if you're investing far away, you're usually either getting ripped off or you're buying in areas you're not familiar with, which basically relates to getting ripped off. And that's usually because local agents like working with local investors. Now, that's not always the case. Now, here's where these 5 rules came from. I've recently been in escrow on 2 transactions worth over $1.2 million. A foundation fixer-upper that I didn't know was a foundation fixer-upper for $615,000, and an auction that was in escrow for $619,000. Both of these properties cosmetically looked like excellent steals. And if I only had to do my rule number 2, money pit scale, cosmetic level style work, these would have both been extremely profitable deals. They would have probably both created over $125,000 to $150,000 of profit. Unfortunately, the money pit scale ended up becoming a massive problem with both of these properties because, well, both of them ended up being foundation fixer-uppers, and despite substantial price reductions on both of the deals, I decided it's not worth disobeying the other rules we talked about in this video, and I'm saying goodbye to these, and I'm moving on to following these rules specifically, because I broke a lot of the rules. Not only did I break the money pit rule, but I also broke the boredom rule, and on one of them, I broke the tract rule. These are a lot of mistakes, and now I'm summing them up by realizing my mistakes, realizing the money that I spent on inspections that I shouldn't have for properties that didn't qualify with these rules anyway. Now, by making this video, at the very least, I hope to convince myself to always follow these 5 rules. Thanks so much. Follow me on Instagram, and until next time.